Hey, welcome back. I'm Chris Jenkins, and this is the next part of my network install. My first video on our home network was the rack, which is sitting behind me, and this is kind of going to be me putting together our pre-wired cabling and kind of looming over to the rack in this stage. So here we have what the builders installed into our property. So this house is effectively a new build, and they pre-wired the house, so pretty much every single room has a network socket. Some rooms have two or more. And the way this was configured, I already started doing some work before I remembered to start filming. My bad. So the way this was wired up, all these cables coming in from top here. They just loomed in from around the house. They're in the basement here, and they've loomed into this box, and then they kind of have been terminated by the installers, the builders, contractors. So, if you were to do something custom, what you'd normally do in a house like this is you try and fit your router and maybe a network switch in here, your cable tie in here. There's two power sockets down here, which you can't see on camera, but it's just a normal 2-gang socket. And then you would put your switch in here, and then all your cables run to your switch, and then your modem's in there as well. That's not enough space for me. I obviously want to use a proper rack. This thing is freaking tiny. It's only 20 inches tall, so I can't even fit. I might fit an 8-port Ubiquiti switch in here, but I've got a 48 port, and this isn't a rack mount either. So if you're a normal house, you probably don't worry about it. But I go the extra mile. So the way this was wired, all these cables are plugged into this actual telephone port, telephone breakout. So you have two cables which run from the outside. There's this white one, unwired. Yeah, there's this white one, and there's this yellow one. And this yellow one comes from outside, which is from the CenturyLink ONT, which is an optical network terminal, as we have fibre to this property. So these two cables run from the outside, and they're pre-wired. They have two network cables hanging outside, and they run straight to this panel. So super simple for the CenturyLink installer, and super simple for me because I have a terminal. They have a terminal. They come in, do their stuff, and then I just get a cable. Great. So all this stuff was plugged into these servers in, and which is useless because they're not telephones. This is just basically a parallel distribution box. So if you have telephones, it's great. Everything runs at Cat5, but otherwise it's useless for any networking. So what I have bought from FiberSwitch is two 6-way looms, and these is Cat6 6-way looms, and these are I think 3 meters, which is, I have to do my maths, 8 foot, I think. No more than that. But someone else can work that out. So they're 3 meters long, and that's more than enough for me to get from this panel over to the rack behind me. And as we have 12 cables in this box, 6 worked out perfectly. And if I was to do any more networking into this house, I would not run them to this panel because there would never be enough space in here. I would run them to another patch panel, so if and when we sell the house, someone else can do what they want with them. So what's going to happen is these are all plugged in. They're all just going to these 6-way looms. This panel's going to get closed off, so then this just becomes obsolete, basically. I also have some coax cable here, so if you were to have someone like Comcast and you wanted cable, most of the rooms have cable output on them, but I have a gigabit connection. There's no point in me. Everything's just going to be IPTV, which is cool. Alright, so I'm going to move over to the rest of the loom, and I'll show you what's going to happen there. Alright, so the next stage is I'm basically going to take this loom, just started pre-looming, so just cable strapping together. It's just going to run along here into my rack. Live, yeah. And it's going to live here basically just because That's just going to be for now. It might move in the future, but that's it. So, super simple. I'm not screwing anything in yet. I'm just going to use Velcro ties for the time being. Just to try and get something semi-neat until we've got columns running for it. So, I mean, people talk about, oh, that's nice, builder's lift. Staples there. Cable ties versus Velcro. Yeah, you can use either. I mean, I actually quite like Velcro, mainly because this isn't a permanent install. I mean, there was some discussion around should you be using Velcro, so you should be using cable ties and tying up really tight. And some people argue that if you do your cable ties too tight, you can damage the cable. Whilst I don't think that's impossible, I think you have to have some pretty terrible cable to damage it with tightening a cable tie. But I know this is temporary, so I'm just using Velcro tie so I can then move it later. So then this is going to go into here. Now some may or may have not noticed. There's this one here, number 1 on this loom. It's got green Velcro around it, and that's just to tell me right now that this is the cable that goes to my ONT, which is out to the CenturyLink termination point. And that's just so I don't have to do some cable chasing in a bit. So these looms from Fibre Store. As I said, I think I said Fibre Switch earlier. I meant Fibre Store. They say custom made, but I'm guessing they have some off the shelf. But basically, you can say how many you want in the loom and how long you want them, and they'll just ship out the correct size to you. I just got, as I said, I got 2 times 6 looms, and that way. But they're all numbered, which is quite nice. So if you had a bigger loom, hopefully you can just follow your numbers through because they're numbered on both ends, which is pretty nice. Nice touch from themselves. And he's using these Keystone jacks, and that'll make more sense why I've done that in a minute. Alright, so I'm just going to probably use these little things I picked up. So these are pretty cool as well. Pretty much my hardware comes from Fibre Store because they're just cheap and quick and pretty good quality hardware. So these are pretty simple. All they do are just like little finger rails, and they're vertical as well. So I can put them like this, or yeah, that's pretty much it. So I can put them like this, and I can bring a cable in from the side, or if I want to bring something out and in again, that works. Or in this case, I'm probably just going to bring the loom in, and then just cable tie to the inside of this, around there. So it's just got a mounting point for me. I'm going to put it on this side because when I turn the rack that way, they're going to be on this side, so it makes sense for me to cable tie to here. And of course, I've needed myself enough length so where the loom will reach the front of the rack, because obviously these are going to go to the front of the rack, into the patch panel. So we need to make sure we've got to leave the length of the rack, which I think is 14 inches in this thing. So let's put one of these on. It does come with its own hardware to mount it, but I may end up using the ones that came with the rack because they're slightly different shapes. And these are quite nice, man. They actually have finger screws on them. It's pretty cool. And the box opener. Let's have a look. Yeah, these are quite nice actually. So it's the US style screws. And they're just kind of nice little finger screws. We'll give it a go, see what happens. So I put this right at the top because most of the cabling is going to be at the top. Just go. Cool. Alright. Take a quick break there. Alright, so I thought I'd get you a bit closer because you was realising you probably couldn't see too well from other angle. Fortunately, I'm in the way of the light again, so I need more light. I apologise. So, try and move a bit closer in to see what this is. So, this again, these are the finger rails. It's upside down. No, okay. So again, I just put a couple of screws into the rack. Again, these are standard designed to go into racks. Probably more professional installations than I'm doing, but hey. Cool, so then what I'm going to do is take these two looms, and I'm going to run them to the front here. Give that a bit more, perhaps might take this one off entirely, I'm thinking. So, as I said before, these need to be able to run to the front, to the furthest distance, so I need to make sure I bring enough length in to get to the front rack. And you know what I'm debating now, actually? I'm actually debating if I put the front patch panel on first, which I think I might do. So let me just go grab that quickly. Actually, it's not like I've already got it here. So I got some other nice stuff from Fibre Store. Funnily enough, for being a Fibre Store, they actually sell a lot of copper hardware still, which is quite nice. Cool. So tear this open. Let's get this out. So the Fibre Store stuff again, like this nice gear. It came with another hardware pack, some cable ties in there, some Velcro as well to obviously tidy up, and then there's stuff to mount it. But this is really nicely made for how much it cost. I think it was like, I'm gonna say like $16 or something like that. So I'll give you show you. So this is a standard patch panel, but actually it's really nicely made. So this is a Cat 6 patch panel. The only major difference, instead of it being fully plastic, it has, you can see, some metal shielding on the back, because most Cat 6 cables are shielded now as a standard. And what this is, versus a traditional patch panel, these are keystones. So you may notice, as I said earlier, I already got keystone jacks on this. Unfortunately, these are white, not black, but whatever. I'm not that picky. So I can pop. So I'm going to pop this out. One, there you go. So I got now a keystone jack, or now just a couple. I can use this anywhere now, really. That comes out. Let's find my green #1, because I'm going to put my incoming on the left. So take my #1, and this pops straight into there, he says. Oh, it should. So do I make a fool of myself? He's going. Ooh. They do go in there really tight. Yeah, it's definitely that way around. You can just watch me fumble around for a little bit. Ah, okay. Yeah, alright. They're just really tight, which actually I do kind of appreciate, because sometimes you don't want these like wobbling around. So that's cool. A bit of mismatching colours, but whatever. And I guess the nice thing about it as well, although I'm replacing these because I have my own loom panels, I'm pulling out these keystones. Doesn't really matter, because if you look on the back of them, it's still just a standard RJ45 plug into the back of it. So whilst my loom from where the panel is going to replace these, if I run more cables and I don't, they're not loomed into keystones, they can just go back. They can just go into the back of this into the back of the RJ45 connectors. So I kind of really love the versatility of these patch panel versus me just punching the cables in, because that's once they're punched in, that thing's there forever. And as I said, this is going to move around potentially, so I need the flexibility to kind of like pull this stuff out if I need to. and then that's how I'm going to do it. So yeah, I'm gonna install this now. I'm gonna pull the rest of these out, and then go from there. I'm going to leave a gap in 2 because I might potentially have another incoming line. Not sure yet, but so I'm going to leave 2 out, and then from anything on there onwards is going to be outbound. So I'm just going to pull the rest of these out. They're going to keep them in this box down here because knowing me, I'll lose them otherwise. So I'm not sure how well you can see that. That's the bottom side. It's just like a little bit sticking out, and on the top side there's actually says up on it conveniently. That's a bit that you need to push in. So as it goes in, that's the bottom. That goes in, so that hooks in. So you see how little notch goes in, and then on the top side, flip this over. So with up, you push that down. So he says that down to kind of get it halfway in, and then you just push in, and that's it. Not sure how these are going to come out because they're pretty tight, but oh well. And let's just keep going. Sorry about that. As per usual, yeah, someone rings the doorbell in the middle of filming. So just to pick up where I was, this one really doesn't want to go in, and it's the point where I'm hurting my hands. So I'll be interested to see if anyone's got any other tips for putting these in. Leave them in the comments. Or is there a tool I'm meant to be using here? Or am I just being a weak? Ah, finally. Right. One down, one more to go. Woo! Okay. Someone's going to be telling me in the comments like, "Whoa, man, you're way too rough with those." And you know what? You're probably right. And when some of them don't work, I'll agree with you. Cool. So that's what it looks like. My gap there. My spare. I'm just going to put this keystone back in, just for the time being. They go much easier, funnily enough. Right, so we also have this like backing plane as well, which is quite nice, which can go on under it, like so. So it just kind of locks in, supposedly. Ooh, this is going to be fun. So it looks like it just slots in there, and that's a little bit disappointing. It's been damaged. Yeah. Okay. Undecided whether or not I should put this thing on the back or not. I think it's useful if I wasn't using keystones, or my cables weren't loomed, because you could then, you could separate everything out. I may I'll put it on later, but as soon as everything's loomed, there's no real need to kind of separate the cables coming into the rack. So back to where I was trying to get to before, which is I'm going to install this in the front. I'm going to install this at the top as well. So again, maybe closer, so I hope you can see a bit better. Hope you can see in there all right. So let's line things up. And it's just going to be a simple goes on like that. Cool. So again, if anyone that hasn't, pretty simple. You take some screws, they go into the front of it, into the holes. So put everything finger tight. So now I can let go, just screw around, and then just tighten it up. Just turn this around so you can see. Try not to drop a knife on my foot. That'll be unfun. Let's move some stuff out of the way. Cool. So I'm just going to, as I said before, these are going to cable tie to the top of this real nicely, actually. It's worked substantially better than I thought it was going to. So with all my talk earlier saying, oh, I don't want to use cable ties, I'm actually going to use cable ties for this just because I can't get Velcro tight enough. Yeah, these are officially terrible because the clip on that one's just broken. Alright, I'm going to find some more cable ties. I'll be right back. I found some more cable ties. These are from FS as well, but I'm hoping these are better. They're not black, unfortunately, but that's the wrong way around. That won't help. I'm hoping, yeah, these feel a bit better. Yeah, that's going to have to be a complaint because they are from Fibre Store as well. Those black cable ties, and maybe I'm guessing a faulty batch. Maybe we'll see if these two do the same, but yeah, no, these are substantially higher quality. Yeah, I guess that's going to be a complaint. You know, they weren't that expensive. I think like $2 or something stupid. And shipping cost more than the actual item. Cool. Okay. Not quite as pretty as I want it, but that's fine. Alright, let's grab a... Cool. Alright, there you have it. So, my two looms coming in. Nicely attached to the side of the rack, so I'm not going to go put too much strain on the back of this. So we'll put the strain on the side there, on the loom. You've got a nice patch panel there. All the white ones, the ones from the loom. I've got my spare input here for number 2, which we'll discuss later. I might put a 3G or an LTE or 4G modem on that as a backup line, maybe as a failover. But we shall see. And that's it. That's it for this one. Actually, no, that's not true. I have one more thing to show, which is pretty cool, before I put the switches in. And this is another thing, which is basically just cable management, and which is cool. So it's like there's some really expensive things from Amazon, or not Amazon. I think they're called like Cable Tidy, and it's basically almost the same thing as this. And it's just a way of organising cables in your rack. So when you go between switches and whatnot, so you put one here, your cables go through your rack, then you can then organise them vertically. Actually, I can take the front of this. There we go. Cool. Let me grab a cable quickly. Yeah, this is a bad example because this is not really a patch cable. It's just a short Ethernet cable. But for example, you know, if I wanted to go from here down to a unit down here, I would what do with that here? You would attach this here. I say go into, you know, this is my output from there in T. That goes into here. Whichever I can get it in. Ooh. It's designed to catch the cables that are just falling out. Then if I wanted to run it down one side of the switch, you go all the way along one side of the rack, sorry. It goes all the way down here. You can run it down the side with those the vertical finger spacers. And you come back in again into another one of these, and then out to your router. And it makes a bit more sense once I've got my switches in of how the cables are run, and I'll show you how that's going to happen. But yeah, these are pretty cool. But yeah, so these are again $14 from Fibre Store. I'll link all the stuff that I've used today will be linked in the video. But yeah, you can buy these, like the official ones of these, the Cable Tidy ones. On Amazon they're like $40–50, and that's a lot of money for a cable organizer, in my opinion. At least for my needs. Maybe if you're a server farm and you need really high quality stuff, sure, go for it. You have more money than me. We also have these actually vertical outs on the back as well, so you can go into the unit and then out through here to go if you wanted to go into the back, if you need to go into the back of a switch or something like that, or etc. That's it for this one. I'll join you next time when I'm going to put my switches in. Thanks all. Talk to you soon.